Feeling overwhelmed by back to school prep? What if you only needed 5 things instead of 50?
Come join our free Essential 5 challenge starting July 29th. In just 3 days, you will transform your giant to-do list into a strategic plan that actually works.
Sign up at secondstorywindow.net/essential5. And that's the number 5. We're going from stressed out to strategic in just 3 days. This is episode 210 of Teacher Approved.
Hey there, and welcome back to the podcast. On Thursdays this summer, we're sharing a weekly can't miss classic, one of our favorite teacher-approved episodes that is full of timely takeaways. We handpicked these classic episodes to be ones that we know you'll want to hear this summer as you recover and prepare for a new school year.
Today, we are bringing you a summer replay that felt too helpful not to share.
Yeah, this episode is all about decision fatigue. That thing where your brain feels like it's running on fumes because of the 1,500 decisions you've already made before lunch.
We originally aired this one back in 2023, but it is just as relevant now. Whether you're mapping out your classroom, planning new routines, or just trying to choose which planner to buy, it's easy to get overwhelmed.
And this episode breaks that down. We're walking through what decision fatigue actually is, why teachers are uniquely at risk, and 4 practical strategies to help lighten that decision mental load.
So whether you're sitting poolside with your to-do list in the back of your mind or just looking to set yourself up for a calmer school year, we hope this replay gives you a few tools and maybe a few deep breaths too.
All right, let's dive back in.
You're listening to Teacher Approved, the podcast helping educators elevate what matters and simplify the rest. I'm Heidi.
And I'm Emily. We're the creators behind Second Story Window, where we give research-based and teacher-approved strategies that make teaching less stressful and more effective. You can check out the show notes and resources from each episode at secondstorywindow.net.
We're so glad you're tuning in today. Let's get to the show.
Back in the Stone Age, when I was just a wee baby teacher, the internet was also quite young, so you couldn't really do a quick search for a fun idea for starting the school year. You were basically limited to what another teacher might be willing to share with you.
Or if you were lucky enough, you bought a $15 book from Scholastic that you hoped would have at least one idea you could actually use.
Oh, I spent so much money on teacher idea books that did not end up having any ideas I could use.
Yep.
But now, of course, you kind of have the opposite problem.
Mm-hmm.
With $15, I could buy any number of back-to-school activities.
Right. So then the question is, which of these limitless options are worthy of my $15?
So when we're faced with so many options, it's easy to feel overwhelmed, and this can result in decision fatigue.
If you're not familiar with the term, decision fatigue is the complete overwhelm you feel as a teacher as a result of the sheer number of decisions that we have to make daily. After making a string of decisions, our ability to make additional decisions is greatly impaired.
So that, by the end of the day, we are left with a decision-making hangover.
Yeah, pretty much. Common symptoms of decision fatigue are brain fog, feeling tired, or other signs of physical and mental fatigue. I sound like one of those pharmaceutical commercials. Side effects of being a teacher may include.
Well, then you can add this to the side effect list. The symptoms can increase as you continue making decisions.
Oh, great. So as a long day full of decision-making wears on, you wind up feeling increasingly drained. Great.
Decision fatigue can also lead to poor decisions like impulse buying. I think we've all been there. Procrastination, being paralyzed by your choices, or recklessly defaulting to what's easiest, even if it's not the wisest option, just to have it dealt with.
Oh, I know for me, I'm really prone to decision fatigue, and it manifests in my life by having that analysis paralysis where I just cannot make a decision at all. I'm doing all the research and I just can't commit. Or it manifests by me just like actively avoiding making a decision at all. Just not going to do it. I'm going to wait until the last second. And neither of those are sustainable ways to live.
Now, in the grand scheme of things, decision fatigue isn't life or death. But that doesn't mean that this is not a real problem.
Yeah, feeling drained and making poor decisions can easily take a large toll on your health, your relationships, and your overall ability to function. In fact, decision fatigue has probably landed us all in a situation or two that we've regretted. So it's important for all of us to be aware if we may be at risk for developing decision fatigue.
Good thing I've got a list of risk factors here. A person is more at risk of experiencing decision fatigue if they make many decisions throughout the day, feel greatly affected by the decisions they make very stressful decisions, make very complex decisions, and make decisions that affect other people in a significant way.
So basically, teachers. Teachers have all of the risk factors for developing decision fatigue. I guarantee no teacher is shocked to hear that.
Yeah, it's definitely not surprising when you consider that teachers make something like 1,500 educational decisions in a day.
Oh, gosh.
That works out to be about 4 decisions per minute.
I bet that number is even higher when you're starting the school year. The sheer volume of decisions that have to be made can be paralyzing. We've been talking a lot recently about procedures and all the details that go into a successful one. And we came up with 17 decisions you need to make just to plan your procedure for walking in the hall. That one procedure.
Yeah, that's not an exaggeration. We really did think of that many. And we probably could have come up with more questions, but we ran out of room on the page.
And then we have to follow up those decisions about procedures with all of the planning about how to teach that procedure. And then all the decisions you make while teaching the procedure. A teacher's brain is constantly thinking 5 steps ahead.
Yeah, well, one half of your brain is teaching a lesson about your procedure. The other half is pointing out things like, that kid isn't paying attention, is making eye contact enough to get his attention. Should I call his name? Or should I go stand next to his desk while I'm talking? Does the rest of the class understand what I'm saying? Do those kids look confused? What's another way I can explain this? Are my expectations too high, or do we just need more practice?
And that is all for a single procedure. No wonder teachers are so exhausted all the time. Okay, so what can we do to reduce the decision fatigue that comes with back to school?
Well, I'm sorry, but there's just nothing you can do.
No.
You're out of luck.
Oh, no.
Just kidding. We'd never leave you hanging like that. It is our mission to help you simplify your teaching. So we have got 4 tried and true strategies to help lighten the decision-making load as you head into back-to-school season. And the first strategy is to manage your energy. Emily, can you tell us more about that?
Of course, because I have to admit, this is a reminder I need to.
I think we all do.
When you're thinking about decisions, it can be helpful to think of your decision-making ability as a limited resource, kind of like a battery. Each decision you make uses some of the battery's charge and decreases the number of decisions you can make later on.
And since each decision is depleting your energy, you need to be strategic about how you manage and use that energy. A good idea might be making your biggest decisions first thing in the morning. I came across an interview with Dr. Lisa McLean from the American Medical Association, and she had this to say. Research shows that the best time to make decisions is in the morning. That's when we make the most accurate and thoughtful decisions, and we tend to be more cautious and meticulous. We hit a plateau in the afternoon. I think we've all felt that. And by the evening, our decisions may be more impulsive.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. I know I'm so much fresher in the morning.
So that means that we need to be well rested if we want to be making our best morning decisions. And that is why prioritizing sleep is key to managing your energy. Now, somewhere out there, a listener just rolled their eyes at me, and I felt that. Because everyone says to prioritize sleep, and no one ever does. But we need to be better. And I'm saying we because I am definitely in the not prioritizing sleep camp.
Yeah. And while we're at it, we should probably make sure we're drinking enough water and eating at regular times. Just gonna mention that here too.
So basically, we just need to treat ourselves like houseplants.
Yes. Or toddlers. But unfortunately, there isn't a more grown-up, making sure we have our sippy cup and a little snack. So when signs of decision fatigue show up, that should alert us that we need to switch gears or take a little break to manage our precious energy. Maybe some goldfish crackers would help too.
Goldfish crackers are never a bad idea. But we wouldn't have to manage our decision fatigue if we didn't have to make so many dang decisions in the first place.
I, for one, would like to take a long vacation from making any decisions at all. But since it's not realistic to get rid of all of our decisions, especially at back to school time, maybe we can make less of them. So our second strategy for managing decision fatigue is to make fewer decisions.
If we had to decide what to do every second of every day, we would just go crazy. Fortunately, a lot of our lives are automated by schedule and habit. I don't wake up on a Tuesday and wonder if I'm going to work that day. The decision has already been made.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as we might wish the question of work was up for a debate, it does make life simpler to have it already decided. So how can we apply that idea to smaller decisions?
If you follow Kendra at The Lazy Genius, she has a principle called decide once. And it's just like it sounds like. You pick a question and decide the answer once. The next time that situation crops up, you already know exactly what you'll do.
A very unexciting example of this is when I moved into my house, and I was moving from a house with shower curtains to one with a glass shower. And I knew myself well enough to know that squeegeeing the glass after a shower was going to be a daily battle. Some days I'd be good at it, and some days I wouldn't want to do it. And that would just eventually make cleaning my shower more difficult. So I made the decision. I always squeegee after a shower. And at first, there were times I really wanted to skip it, but I reminded myself that I had already decided I wanted to live a pro squeegeeing life. And after a few weeks, I didn't even think about it anymore. And now, almost 9 years later, I'm still a squeegeeing machine.
And see, I said I was going to do the same thing when I moved into my house, but I did not decide once. And so I've had to waffle about it every time. So we've got both sides of the scenario playing out here, and we didn't even realize it.
Oh, talk about dramatic tension. That's what you're here for. But if you are looking to reduce decisions, maybe making your bed every day can be your decide once situation.
Or maybe your decide once is that you give yourself permission to skip making your bed every day, and you're not going to feel guilty about it.
Yeah, an unmade bed or even an unsqueegeed shower is not a moral failing.
Phew.
And it doesn't mean you're a better person if you do it. It's about what choices best serve your situation.
Now, I'm going to guess that no one has a shower or a bed in their classroom, so how does this apply to teaching and especially at back to school?
Well, I actually think teachers do some version of deciding once pretty naturally. We decide once what we're doing for class birthdays, and we just do it all year. Or we decide that for our class parties, we will always do stations, and one of the stations will always be a bingo game. It just makes planning so much simpler.
It really does. So we should be on the lookout for other opportunities to make fewer decisions at back to school time. Maybe you're going to decide once that at open house, you're always going to have a checklist for students to do when they arrive and a sucker to take with them when they leave. Now, you still have to do some work to get ready for open house, but you've reduced the decisions that need to be made. Or you might want to decide once that on the first day of school, you're always going to order takeout from your favorite restaurant for dinner. So you don't even have to think about it. On that day, no decision will have to be made.
I did do that one year and got food poisoning, which made the second day a little rough.
Oh, no.
At back to school time, a good way to decide once is to use a first day script. You will probably have to tweak your script from year to year, but once you've decided how you want your first day to flow and you've written it clearly in the script, a lot of your first day, forever on your first days, the planning is already done.
Be sure to go back to episode 77 if you want all the details on back to school scripts. We just deep dived into that.
And when you do find you need to change or adjust your decisions, you can rely on your back to school goals to help guide your decision, which is our third tip for reducing decision fatigue. Know your criteria.
If you're making fewer decisions overall and you're managing your energy, you're in a good position to address the decisions that still have to be made. So start by asking yourself, what is my purpose or goal for this?
If I've got a 20-minute chunk of time on the first day of school, how I fill that time will vary depending on whether I want my students to get to know one another or if I want 20 minutes of independent work time so I can catch my breath on a crazy day.
Yeah, so knowing your criteria before you begin planning is so important. How else will you know if you've found the right activity to fill that time?
And because there are so many options out there, one suggestion is to use your criteria to make lists before you even start browsing for resources. So, for example, you might have a list like, I need 3 different 30-minute activities for the first week, and my goal is for them to help with community building. That way you know what to search for, and you know when you found it.
If you don't know what you're looking for, you're just wasting time looking for a needle in a haystack made of needles, which sounds miserable.
Nobody has time for that, especially at back to school. So save yourself from wasting a lot of time by choosing criteria for what you're looking for before you start looking.
And to our perfectionists out there, you might need to lower your expectations. There is no perfect activity. Once you've found an activity that works for your needs, don't spend another 2 hours scrolling TPT just in case you come across something better.
Yeah, if it meets your criteria, it is good enough. And good enough is good enough. Which is why our 4th tip for reducing decision fatigue is to limit your options.
There are so many options out there. You could literally search forever. So limit the options you have to choose from. That might mean setting a timer and only looking for 30 minutes. Or maybe you limit yourself to a few trusted sellers whose resources align with your philosophy of teaching and you know you can trust them.
Remind yourself that you do not have to have all of the information to make a choice. If you're clear on your criteria and you've got enough energy, then limiting your options is still leading you to make a thoughtful choice that won't push you into decision fatigue.
We'd love to hear your thoughts on reducing decision fatigue. Come join the conversation in our Teacher Approved Facebook group or connect with us on Instagram at Second Story Window, and that's with a 2. We hope this episode helped you name that mental fog for what it is and remind you that it's not just you. Decision fatigue is real, and it's especially real for teachers.
So if your brain feels like a browser with too many tabs open, you're in good company. And the good news, you can close a few of those tabs and still be an amazing teacher.
Whether you try one of the strategies we shared or just give yourself permission to not decide something today, that is a win.
And if you know another teacher who's feeling the weight of too many choices this summer, please pass this episode along. We could all use a little less pressure and a little more ease.
We'll be back next Thursday with another Can't Miss Classic to help you rest, reset, and feel a little more human this summer.
Until then, be kind to your brain, take breaks when you can, and remember, you don't have to figure it all out today.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Teacher Approved. I'm Heidi.
And I'm Emily. Thank you for listening. Be sure to follow or subscribe in your podcast app so that you never miss an episode.
You can connect with us and other teachers in the Teacher Approved Facebook group. We'll see you here next week. Bye for now.
Bye.